Hello and welcome to the Franchise Marketing Show. This episode was recorded at the International Franchise Show at the Excel. So although we use some really good microphones, there is some background noise going on, there's some announcements going on because obviously it was a really busy show. But the content is absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed recording these interviews and I hope you enjoy watching/listening to them as well. Enjoy. So we are day 2 of the International Franchise Show. We're recording the Franchise Marketing Show and I'm joined by Fay Smith. Hello.
Hello, Mark.
How are you? You
good,
alright?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Were you here yesterday as well?
We were, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
First show that we've ever done though.
Oh really, is it? What did you think of the show?
Really good, yeah. I think we weren't really sure what to expect, but pleasantly surprised. Yeah, it was good.
I thought it was really busy yesterday.
Really busy, yeah. And I think today, from what we've heard, it's more like families that come today, which actually is our target market, nice. So hopefully it will be another good day. Yeah,
cool. So tell me a little bit about what you do.
So we are Little Dreams Consulting and we are baby and child sleep consultants. So we work with babies from 4 months to children of 10 years to help everybody get a better night's sleep, basically. So yeah, we started Jenna, my business partner, started Little Dreams back in 2016. She was a solicitor and had her middle child, realised she didn't love it anymore, was looking for something else and ended up sort of building Little Dreams in Bristol, so that's our kind of flagship store. And then from there we had, Jenna had a couple of months a year or so of doing it herself, was really, really busy, couldn't sort of keep up with the demand, so long story short, we met through a mutual friend. I was a mental health social worker before, similar story, had my second child, realised I didn't really love it anymore, was looking for something else. So ended up going to work with Jenna. From there, we still couldn't meet up with the demands, so we met with we took on another sleep consultant, then we took on another sleep consultant, and then an admin assistant, and then got to the point where we were like, how are we going to grow beyond this, and franchising was what came next. So the franchise was founded in December 21.
So what made you take that step? Like, what were the conversations around, like were there other options for you to grow it?
Yeah, I guess we kind of talked about, do we grow kind of organically from like taking on sleep consultants in other areas? But I think ultimately we felt that we needed a model that people were driving forward in their own areas, because we don't know the demographics we're in Bristol and I actually live in South Wales, but we don't know the demographics in like Edinburgh or London or the really, really rural areas in between. So we wanted people who knew their areas, who were passionate about what we do, to kind of drive it forward in their known territory.
And have you found there's a difference in different areas, different demands?
In terms of demographic. Yeah. And so what we've done is we've made sure that we used a mapping company who made sure that every territory has exactly the same, if not more, potential clients than Bristol. Okay. Just because we knew that Bristol worked, we scaled it, so we knew we looked at various different data points. It wasn't just a case of here's an area with a set population. It was like, what is that population? Like, do they have children? Are they earning over a certain amount of money? All of these things that we know about our target clients. And so through that, we're able to make sure that every territory had the same. So yeah, every territory has the same amount of clients, but very, very different in terms of their demographics.
Yes, there'll be some demographics where it's like older people live there.
Yeah, but also things like the way in which people access services as clients. So there'll be some areas, like we know in Bristol it's quite buzzy, there's a lot of events that people go to. People like to go to their mums and toddlers groups, and they like having guest people in to speak to them. Other areas are a bit more like rely on kind of the wider sort of social media and things like that. So we've got a franchisee down in Devon, Cornwall, and her reach is it's got quite a big area, and actually she finds that Google works really well for her just because of the way people are used to accessing services down there. So yeah, it's very different in every area, which is why we wanted to use the franchise model, really.
And I've kind of got a vested interest in what you do as well.
Okay.
My son's 3.
Okay.
And he slept, I'd say after 6 months he slept really well, but then there's always a few weeks here and there where it's he wakes up in the night. And it's always I think having a routine is like the best thing
Yeah.
to have. And my wife would just be like, when he's tired, put him to sleep. I'm like, no, this time he's going to bed.
Yeah. You get that danger nap.
Yeah.
Like, oh, just let him nap in the day. No, that's not.
Oh yeah, like when we're driving home, it's like 6.
Yeah.
And then he falls asleep. Like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Oh no.
He's going to be up till like 9:30,
Yeah.
10. And I find in the summer as well, like when it's light, like last summer when it was light, it was like a nightmare getting to sleep. Because it was just,
it's the clock change is tricky.
Oh yeah, that's a nightmare as well.
Yeah. You need to invest in some decent blackout blinds.
Yeah. We're redecorating his room at the moment. So like,
darkness is king in the summer for sure.
But like, I think that before you become a parent, like you don't really, you sort of you get the sleep you need, but then once you're a parent, it's like you obsess about when you can get your sleep.
Yeah.
So it's really important.
Yeah.
And my brother-in-law and they just had a baby like last week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the last few months we were like you are going to be so tired.
Yeah, and you don't, and you can't tell people either. They're like, oh, I know, and you're like, you don't know.
No.
You don't.
And like when I became a dad, like I thought, I'm going to be really good at it, and I didn't factor in how tired I was going to be.
It's mad,
like,
isn't it?
I'll be really good, but then it's like I just want to go to sleep.
Yeah. Sleep becomes like the ultimate goal, I feel, of all parents' lives. You know, like we joke, me and my husband. I mean, I've got 2 children who are much older now, and you know, I'd be pretty bad at my job if they didn't sleep well. They do sleep well, but even then, like, you know, they go to bed, and just from being a parent during the day, you're knackered.
Yeah.
So you like get to the evening, and you know, you think, God, like 10, 20 years ago, we'd be going out now, and I'm like, let's just put our pajamas on, put Netflix on.
I'm asleep by like 9:30.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's amazing. Oh,
Yeah,
I love it.
I know. Sleep is, priceless.
Yeah, nice. So in terms of like marketing for new franchisees, what works really, really well?
Okay, so we are like 14 months in to our franchising journey. We have 4 franchisees now, and we're kind of still in the testing period, I would say, as to what we find works. So, for instance, initially, when we first launched the franchise, we actually got our first 2 franchisees from complete, like, our organic internal processes. So, like, our newsletter that we sent out to parents that we worked with, our, at the time, quite modest social media following. And we got 2, you know, within, I don't know, I think like 4 to 6 weeks, we had 2 franchisees. So we were like, oh, okay, this is easy, like, we can just do this. And then after that, you realise, okay, you've exhausted your own internal market, what do we do next? So this is when we start like looking at all the other things. So we've done social media campaigns, we've done Google ads, so we had quite a lot of success with Google ads recently. We've just started working with a social media agency who are doing some like ad campaigns for us, a bit more targeted. The show for the first time. And it's about, for us, it is very much about, we need to test. This year is very much about testing what works for us and tracking, you know, quality leads that come in from each thing that we do. So I am, in the business, I'm like the spreadsheet girl. So I'm all about like, right, this is what we've spent doing this and what did we get from it, you know, and Jenna's more the ideas person. She's like, well, this is what we're going to do. And it works really well for us. So I think like at the moment we're still very much in the testing phase, but from us we've had some success from everything we've done really, but it's just refining that, I guess, as we go along as to what leads to those real quality leads. And I think with franchising, obviously you need so many leads in order to just convert to one.
Yeah. So
it's picking apart, like, and also people don't just see you at one thing and go, yeah, okay,
it's turning up to like regular ones.
Being there all the time.
Like, then they recognise the brand.
Yeah.
So you mentioned at the start, like your target market will be here today. Like there's going to be more families.
Yeah.
Is that your franchisees? Are they always going to be those type of people, or does it vary?
Not necessarily, but we just know from just our kind of what we know about our current franchisees, and also everyone in our team, in the headquarters team. We're all very similar. We're all like mums. You don't have to be a mum, you know, we'd happily take on dads. Well, we'd love to have a male sleep consultant, that'd be brilliant. And similarly, you don't need to have children. You know, you need to have a vested interest in helping families, but you don't need to have children. But it just so happens that I think, like you say, you kind of can resonate with that. When you're a parent, you're like, this is a service that is really needed.
I heard about your franchise a few months ago and I looked through your website, and I was just like, this is such a good idea.
Yeah.
Like we've been really lucky. Like we've only got 1 kid at the moment, but like if we have another one, it's like there's no guarantee like they'll be a good sleeper as well.
Yeah.
So it's just like you just being a parent, you know how important sleep is.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and I think I think because of that, like we noticed yesterday, we get people walking past who may not have had children or may have been slightly older, maybe the memory of the children not sleeping was, way ago. And they sort of look at what we do and they're like, okay, like walk on. Whereas a lot of people in what we would call our target would be like, oh my God, like where were you 5 years ago? I needed you, and so I think for us, we know that the people that are going to be passionate about our brand are the people who have either gone through it very recently or, are going through it. And yeah, like you say, we've got we've worked with about between 750 and 800 families now, and we've got hundreds of reviews and testimonials, and often when I speak to parents who are thinking about working with us, I'm like, go and look at them, because there'll be someone with exactly the same story as you that has come through it and is now like so much happier. So I think for us, we don't have we definitely wouldn't have any hesitations in taking on people outside of that, but it's just by virtue of what we do, I think.
How important it is, when franchisees come on board as well, like, what is their typical day like?
So our franchise is, we believe, probably one of the most flexible jobs you could possibly have, because there is no typical day, really, because you manage your own time and diary 100%. So all of our franchisees have 100% control. We are looking for full-time franchisees, pretty much, but how you do those hours is completely up to you. So, for instance, if you're going to see a client, we do most of our consultations over Zoom now. Just since the pandemic, we had to switch to being on Zoom, and it works really well, and actually parents have told us they prefer it. Some people still want
time,
and people are like working from home, and they're like, well, we can just block out a bit of time and do the Zoom rather than like everybody having to juggle everything around. So it tends to be over Zoom. So you could have your consultation, but you could do that whenever works for you and the parents. So some parents are like, well, can we do it in the evening? Okay, great, yeah, that's fine. Or can we do it over our lunchtime? Or would you mind doing a weekend? Like, if that works for the franchisee, you can do it whenever you want. Like, I've done consultations from abroad, when I'm on holiday. So I'm like, well, I'll just go back to my room for an hour and do the consultation, and then back out to the pool. And I think we genuinely do work from anywhere. We've got Jenna and I have done a reel recently of like all the different places we've worked, and I've worked from like A&E before. I mean, not that makes it sound a bit dramatic, but when you're sat in the waiting room with your child,
you're going to be there for hours,
and and full well that the doctor's probably just going to stick a bit of steri strip over their head.
I've been to A&E, and it's like I had my son, he was like in my arms, like, and then he got in A&E, like sat on the bed waiting for the doctor, and by the time the doctor comes in, he's like jumping up and down. You're like, really sorry to waste your time. But so both me and Jenna have worked from A&E. Like, my son's like playing around, doing whatever, and I'm just like doing my emails. It really is so flexible. So in terms of a typical day, the types of things you'd be doing is you'd see your clients like you write your sleep plans. Again, you can do that whenever you want. You can see your clients, do that whenever you want. Admin, you do that whenever you want. Social media stuff, again, all of that, especially with all the apps that are available now, we can schedule everything. You can sort of bulk plan everything. The main things in the initial days that you do as a franchisee would be around the marketing, like the local marketing. So going out to getting your face seen in those groups, because mums especially need to see you to trust you. So going to the groups and making relationships with other kind of businesses that provide services for your target clients. So not things like the baby massage, or I don't know, like the mums and sing and sign, dance class,
exactly. So that's the sort of thing that you'd be doing on a probably at the beginning more of a regular day, but the rest of it is very, very flexible.
So would they go there as like as a parent with their kid?
You could do, but we just often will approach places that are running classes. Like all of our franchisees actually have got really good relationships with other franchises sometimes, a franchise that do run the sing and sign,
like children activities,
exactly.
Stuff,
and they'll go and they'll be that person will advertise, today's class we've got so-and-so from Little Dreams coming to answer all your sleep questions, and we just go and
There's so many
hang out.
questions in there,
Exactly. And you get your name known and you become like the trusted person. Yeah, it's really important.
There'll be one or two people afterwards like, I need to talk to you.
Definitely, yeah. The ones that are like literally falling asleep in the corner, or that look so frazzled that they can't focus on what's going on in the group. So it's
I've
really
noticed the bags under my eyes have got massive over the last few years. So what does the future look like as well, in terms of both the franchise and in terms of like what the work that you do as well?
Okay. So our aim ultimately is to become the go-to sleep consulting brand across the UK. We've also got an EU trademark, which may be something in the future that we consider. We'd like to consider maybe Australia, New Zealand, and things like that. We're talking much longer term. But in terms of the more kind of short-term plans, we want to continue to grow the franchise between 4 to 5 a year across the UK over the next 5 years, and sort of see how that goes. It might be slightly more than that if we can, but at the moment it's Jenna and I, and we've got a team of people that support us. But in terms of, we train the franchisees, we manage the franchisees, so we need to keep it at a sustainable rate for us as well, until we get to the point where we're ready for the next step. So 4 to 5 a year for the next 5 years, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Cool.
But in terms of the work, we kind of, Jenna and I do complement each other quite well. We've got different skill sets, and I think over the last year especially we've come to realise exactly what that means for the business, which before we were both like very much in it together, and we'd go to all the meetings together, and we'd go to this, and then at some point over the last 6 months we've been like, we can't sustain that anymore. It's not, we can't both be at all these things, and it's not necessary really. So we've sort of split our roles a bit more. So Jenna's doing a lot more of, like I say, the sort of growth element of the business, and I'm doing more of like the operations element of the business, which I think will work well for us moving forward. But it's an adjustment,
I think of the other franchises that I've spoken to where there's two people, there's always one that's the opposite type of people that do opposites, and it works really well. So I think that's, and I think what you do as well is so interesting. And like, as I said, I saw it a few months ago, and I was like looking through your website, that was so cool.
Thank you. Well, we genuinely believe it's the best job in the world, because both, I think from Jenna and I's point of view, coming from, so Jenna was in childcare law, I was a social worker, we worked very much on the front line, fighting fires every day, and probably not getting very much job satisfaction from that, in terms of not actually making sad as it sounds, not being able to make the difference that you want to make. Whereas now I feel like we work with families, and I'm like, you work with them when they're at rock bottom, and that's not, I'm not over exaggerating. And then you get to the end of the 2 or 3 weeks, and they're like, oh my god, you've just changed our lives. And I like, yes, we've actually helped someone, made a difference. So for us it's definitely the best job in the world.
Nice. And if people are interested in find out more, what's the best way to get in touch?
Okay, so we've got on our website there is a pop-up comes up. You can put your details in there, and you can download our prospectus, or you can just get in touch with us via email. So we're franchising@littledreamsconsulting.com. Also, we're on social medias, everywhere.
Cool. Thank you. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Cheers.